You're listening to the Into the Woods podcast with your hosts, Dermot and Michael. Let's get into it.
Wonderful chase by Hinshaw.
Cox again. I cannot believe it. Dacos nearly runs out of room. He's goal. Jamie Elliott has won the game of footy for this famous club. Slap for Nick Dacos. He's going to be the hero. The little champ is going to pick the winner.
Here's the Degoe moment. He unloads. Bang! You need your stars. And Collingwood stars just went and wrenched the cup back.
Welcome to Into the Woods. I'm your host, Dermot, and for the next hour or so, we'll be talking about all things Collingwood. If you want to join in the conversation, be sure to follow our socials. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. Once again, I'm joined by Michael. How are you, Mick?
Good, thank you.
It's good to be back here at Into the Woods HQ. After what? 7 episodes on the road, we're back. We're reunited.
Yes.
Did you miss me?
No. Well, to an extent, no. No, I didn't.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't miss you. And I don't know, over the last 6 weeks, because we've been doing it over Zoom, I haven't been able to see you. You didn't tell me that you had come up with a new idea for the pod and a new way to jot down your ideas. Yeah, I find it very interesting when I rocked that. So, do you want to show the listeners your notes? If you're not going to, I will.
Well, I'd run out of paper at the house, so I've just utilised an old cereal box.
Yes,
and,
for the people listening on Spotify and Apple that can't see, Michael has got a. Is that a home brand cereal box as well?
Because not that the listeners are all interested, but I'm 57. I reckon for the first 55 years of my life, I was a devoted Vitabrits man. But I've just gone to Woolworths and Coles home brand, exactly the same, less salt. Less salt.
That is outrageous. I couldn't believe it.
Could have done it years ago.
I looked down and there is a fucking cereal box with all your notes written on it. Like, why? If you've run out of paper, why don't you just use your phone? What makes you think I'm going to go for a cereal box before your phone?
No, it's hard to navigate my phone. But talking about one thing I have got on my phone, Twitter, right? During the week or last week.
It's a sick addiction that you have. You live on Twitter and you're only there to stir up people. For people that don't know, this is Stan Magro on Twitter, and now we've probably had about half of our viewers now tune out because they hate Stan Magro. He's an idiot. He's an asshole. But go on.
Well, I touched on this a few weeks ago. Putting things on Twitter, personal call-outs for loved ones. Why they just don't tell them directly, I'm not sure. Why they think it's important that I know that it's their birthday or their wedding anniversary, not sure. But this one from Jay Muse. To my beautiful wife, happy Mother's Day. Love you, and you are the, wait for it, you are the bestest mum, M-O-M, bestest. So as well as crucifying the King's English, why didn't he just lean across the kitchen table and tell her this? Why do I need to know that she's the bestest mum?
Do you want to know a funny story? You've just reminded me of something. Yes. Hopefully they're not a listener. Oh, they're not American, aren't they? By the way, they spelled mum.
Well, yeah, probably. I'll get to go on his profile later. But...
So my funny story, you'll get a kick out of this. I haven't told you. So, it was when I was going from Melbourne to Perth. I was on a 4-hour flight, and I was seated next to this guy wearing a Fremantle Dockers polo top. So he'd obviously been in the game at Melbourne the week prior, and then was going home. And I was sitting there, and we didn't say a word to each other for the whole 4 hours of the flight. Anyway, we land. And the first thing he does, I'm sitting next to him, I glance over his shoulder, and he's pulled out his, takes his phone off flight mode, and he looks at his AFL fantasy team. I look over the top, I'm like, oh. And I couldn't help myself. I ended up saying to this guy was probably about 50 or 60 years old. So, probably closer to your age than mine, a lot closer to your age than mine. And I said to him, like, oh, where you ranked? He's like, oh, excuse me? I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm not snooping. I just noticed you're on your fantasy team. I love my fantasy football. Where you ranked? And he's not having a good year, ranked about 20K or whatever. And he asked me if I was a big player, and I said yeah, and I told him that last year I finished 11th overall in Supercoach, and but AFL fantasy is really my passion, and blah blah blah. Anyway, we're talking about fantasy football for the 5-10 minutes that we're waiting to get off, and then we got off together, and we're walking to pick up our checked baggage together, and we're still talking about fantasy football. And as we're waiting for the bags, he says, "Oh." He said, I'm really active on Twitter for fantasy football. He's like, are you on Twitter as well? And I'm like, yeah. I said that my Twitter name is my fantasy football name, which is at Brazzy's Bulls. So it's basically all I post about on there is basically fantasy football. And he said, oh, I feel like I've heard that name before. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty active on there. And he's like, oh, do you mind if I follow you and we can chat fantasy? I'm like, yeah, of course, go for it. Anyway, he can't find me. Where is he? Anyway, he's looking through, and eventually he finds me in his blocked list.
Oh, really?
He's blocked me. Some guy. What are the chances of that I'm sitting next to on the plane had blocked me? And he's like, by any chance, do you bag out players a lot? And I said, yeah, I let out my frustration in and guys like Tom Stewart especially, and these guys have had a bad history. If I let it rip and I don't hold back, he's like, yeah, I don't like it when people do that. That's probably why I've blocked you. But he unblocked me and started following me. So yeah, his Twitter handle was something about Clive Waterhouse. I can't remember, but it was
former Fremantle.
But he was a good man. He was a good man. A little bit awkward when I saw myself in the block list. Not something that you expect from a stranger that you've just met, that they've actually come across you on the social media. But anyway.
I reckon you've touted your 11th place finishing last year more than probably the winner has touted his first place finishing, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, maybe I've spoken a little bit to the winner from last year, and yeah, we're on good terms, but not as good this year, but.
Well, I was actually about to ask you how you're going this year. I thought no, because it would just encourage you to continue on with the conversation.
I'll just briefly mention. So I'm ranked at the moment. I'm ranked about 4K, and I was like, oh, that's a little bit disheartening. But I looked at the exact same round this time last year, and I was ranked 3K, and I came back and finished 11th. So and I'm going up every single week the same way that I was the year prior. So I'm doing a very similar sort of tactic to what I was last year.
So if this time last year you ranked 3K and you finished 11th, this time you ranked 4K. Then it follows you'll finish about 1,011th.
No, well, yeah, technically. But what I'm saying is I'm ranked very closely to where I was last year. There wouldn't be a huge points difference between 3K and 4K. Okay. But as much as I love Supercoach, and I'm actually better at Supercoach, AFL Fantasy has my heart. I've finished top 500 3 out of 5 years, but it's not looking good this year.
Yep. We're giving you an inch and you've taken a mile with your fantasy. I told you in the past, no fantasy talk.
All right. Yep. Anyway, sorry, this is just us catching up. The listeners probably don't give a shit, but we haven't seen each other in about 6-7 weeks. So,
yes. Well, looking back, we'll refer to those days as the good old days.
I bought him a present. I went to New Zealand, bought him a present. He's not even grateful. He doesn't. He basically said he didn't like it.
I just don't need another hat.
It was a New Zealand hat.
Yeah, made in China.
All right, let's get into all the hot topics.
We've listened to the wisdom of Sir Winston Churchill and the brilliance of genius Albert Einstein. In the 60s, we heard the great JFK. Now, all the great minds are talking footy.
All right, there we go. Another win. Bank another 4 points and away we go. We're 8-2 in a bloody strong position. But I was saying to you before the podcast that even though it was a really good win and a hard-fought win, and they're a good side, Adelaide, and they're a better side this year than what they have been in previous years, and we've had a lot of close games with them in the last few years. So, but it was a good win, but it wasn't a pretty win, and there's not really a lot to take out of this game. Like most weeks when I'm writing my notes, I have like 3 dot points that I really want to like go hard at and really discuss. I think I've got plenty of dot points, but there's only maybe like 1 or 2 that I'm really passionate about. Don't know about you. But did you take a lot out of yesterday's game?
No, there wasn't a lot to take out. It was just a basic They went in a bit too tall, I think, given the conditions that were forecast and actually ended up being as forecast. So they went in too tall. Their entries were very poor, and Jeremy Howard just lapped that up. And we brought the pressure, and it was just a bit of a slog. But as soon as the rain came in the second half, I was pretty confident we'd overrun them. Got a bit closer than I thought in the end. But yeah, sorry, just sucking in a drink as I try to talk. Yeah, so but not Nick worries me a little bit.
All right, we'll start off with Nick then. Why does he worry you?
Well, I reckon he's carrying something. That's even before he had his foot trod on early. I just think he's labouring a bit. He's still getting his 28, 29 possessions.
It wasn't an awful game.
No, it wasn't an awful game. No, but I think he's carrying something. His hard running's not there.
Yeah, I agree.
His overlap running, his, give, run, receive back. We're seeing nothing of that. I went to the stats. I normally go to the stats. He only had 384 metres gained, which is
good for the average player.
Which is good for the average player, but he's not at his best. He's carrying something. I just had a look at the month or next 6 weeks or so ahead. I reckon we could squeeze him in for a rest at some point.
But we've got the bye coming up in 3 weeks anyway. Can we just wait and hold off?
Maybe we've got North next week. Look, we've got North. We've got Hawthorn, Melbourne, St Kilda, West Coast. I reckon.
But there's a bye in between the Melbourne and St Kilda game.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you would indulge me for a moment, I thought it was. Even maybe next week against North. I know North got out to 54 points.
I was about to say the most famous episode we've ever done where I cracked the shits at halftime.
Yeah,
we were very confident going into that, weren't we?
At the same venue.
Yeah, we don't love Marvel. We're not like at Richmond sort of level when it comes to Marvel, but we don't ever play near our best there.
Or maybe either side of the bye. But
give him 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, maybe. You got Melbourne before, St Kilda after.
So looking at the one I would be okay to rest him for is probably the West Coast one. That's the only one that I'm 100% sure will win.
That's a long way off, really.
But we've got the bye though. He's got 3 games in the bye. Yeah. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that bad.
I reckon. Just looking ahead, I reckon we'll win 4 of those. Hawthorn, as tradition dictates, will drop that one.
We always do, even when they're shit.
Yeah. So, but there you go. But Adelaide wouldn't want to play them in the final.
No, they're dangerous. They're bloody dangerous, and that's why
on a dry day, especially in a final.
Like I said, they always match up well against us, even when they weren't any good. So I was actually going into yesterday. I tipped us, but then all of a sudden, closer to the game, I started getting a real bad feeling. Like Darcy Moore being out. I thought that was just a huge blow when they've got the 3-headed beast, the 3-headed monster, Phil Fogarty and Tex. I know it was wet weather.
It worked against them in the end.
Yeah, it did, but you're still nervous when you've only got one real traditional key back and they've got 3 big boys up there and they're all fit and firing at the moment as well. And that really, like for Billy Frampton, absolutely sensational again. Against Fremantle, I said he was like a brick wall. You couldn't get it past him. He was intercepting everything. Yesterday, he wasn't as good as he was in that Freo game in terms of intercept marking, getting the ball, that kind of stuff. But I looked at his stats and he led the game with 10 spoils. And you've talked about how you just wanted to be Presty and just punch away. Well, he did that yesterday. And Riley Philpott, I know it wasn't the perfect conditions for him, but to hold him goalless, and he's been in such good form, I think this is a real breakout season for Frampton. Like I said last week too, going into the year, the only concern you and I had about our list was the fact that we didn't have that real sort of key defender to support Moore and Howe. I think we have now. He's been on our list the whole time. He's a premiership player, obviously, but it feels like he's a different player. Like I never trusted Billy Frampton. Now I trust him with my life. I really would. He's as solid as they come at the moment. He's as solid as they come. He isn't a star, but he just plays his role. And Jeremy Howe, in my opinion, best on ground yesterday. I don't know what you think, but I said a couple of weeks ago, it was after Anzac Day, and we were without Darcy Moore then, and he absolutely starred on Anzac Day. And I said to you, the best 3 games that Jeremy Howe played to that point since 2023 were the 23 grand final when Nathan Murphy went down injured, the Bulldogs game earlier in the year when Reece McGuinness went down injured, and that Anzac Day match when Darcy Moore didn't play. Now you can add this match on top of it where Darcy Moore also didn't play. His best 4 games in the last 2-3 years have come in games when we've only had one key defender and he's been the second tall. It's like he loves the responsibility. I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. There's something in that. Like, we're obviously not going to drop Frampton or more, are we? So this isn't going to be an ongoing thing, but I'm not sure if we should be that concerned. If one of those two are injured or rested in the future, Jeremy he plays above himself in those kinds of games.
Yeah, not sure above himself because he's always been capable of playing the great game. Obviously, his role will change depending on the personnel around him. So maybe his role when those guys are out is to be a bit more intercepting, a bit more attacking.
But wouldn't you think it would be the opposite when those guys aren't there? That he would need to be more locked down. Oh, that's what I would think.
It depends on the opposition and.
You couldn't. Well, yesterday with the three tours, you think that would have been the perfect time for him to be defensive.
Yeah,
and defensively he is very good himself, but like,
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you,
There you go.
I've given you 4 games where he's had to step up as the second tall down there, and he's been close to best on ground in all 4 of those games.
I've got nothing to add.
Thanks for that. You do realise that we're on a podcast right now, and it's your job to add something.
I can't think of anything to say. Move on. No, you're right. You're right. It's a mystery.
It's not a mystery.
I tried to add something. You would.
Harry Perryman again played defence.
Well,
I just want to
talk about a mystery. Harry Perryman is a mystery.
He is.
He's a guy who really flies under the radar, and he's got a lot of accolades this year. Across the board, but I don't notice him that much. In the last couple of weeks, I've actually gone out of my way to kind of keep an eye on him, and even then, I still don't notice him that much. And he still gets accolades.
Yeah, I think he's been amazing the last few weeks in defence. I don't think personally I didn't notice him as much yesterday as I had in previous weeks, but he still played a really solid role. He took one of the. I'm not sure if you'd call it the match-saving mark very late, but they'll come in, and it was probably about a minute and a half left, and he took a mark inside 50. It was an intercept mark, and that was the game at that point. They weren't coming from there. But again, a solid performance, maybe not up to the levels that he had in previous weeks. But like I've said, I reckon for maybe the last 4 or 5 podcasts, every single week, I think next week's the week where he's going to play in the role that we've recruited him for, which would either be inside mid or wing or half forward or whatever. Because every week it was Houston, then it was Maul, then it was Howe, then it was Maynard, then it was bloody Moore again. Every week there's one of our 7 defenders are out. If Darcy Moore comes back next week, and fingers crossed he does, will he finally get the chance to play a different role, or will there be another defender out? Like there's probably going to be someone else out.
What do you reckon we recruited him as, a wingman? Was that what they really had him in mind?
Nah, I think it was an inside mid, but I think since we've got him, we've now, Ned Long's gone to another level, side bottom's now in there. We've seen now Chris spend a little bit more time in there the last couple of weeks. I don't think we're really expecting that to happen. So I reckon I don't reckon he'll be inside mid. I don't reckon he'll be a permanent defender either. I just think he'll be a wingman, sort of Nick Martin like not the way that he's not the same type of player as Nick Martin, but sort of have the license to play multiple roles on the ground by starting on a wing. So he could start on a wing, push back. He could start on a wing, push forward. Start on a wing, go into midfield. Just have that kind of license. He's so flexible.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. If Darcy comes back, hopefully all other 6 defenders stay there, and then we can get a better idea of what Harry Perriman's going to do for the remainder of the season. But God, he's a great defender though, isn't he? If one of these guys were to go down with a season-ending injury, it would be devastating. But we've got the perfect replacement in Perryman to slot back down there, and then we could just replace that defender with a midfielder or something.
Yeah. By all accounts, he's been very good for us.
What do you mean by all accounts? Do you watch the game?
I watched the game, but I don't notice him. Like I remember Andreas from Black and White United saying at the start of the year, he said, go back and watch, and I think I've mentioned this before, the final in 23 when we won by a point against them. And he said when Perry was playing for GWS, he started all their attacks. He'd just be in the bottom of the pack. He'd be feeding the handball out here, go under the radar, but he'd be on the back of all their attacks. And maybe he's just one of those players that, just a very, very quiet achiever. He doesn't do anything spectacular, but what he does to a high standard. And, Yeah, so I'll continue to keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on him.
Well, like I don't know. I try to watch him, and he just goes under the radar. Like I said,
You're meant to be an expert now, Mick. You know, the Age has listed you as one of the must listen to
Yeah.
Collingwood podcasts, and you're just coming out with, I don't know. I'll keep an eye on him. He's now 10 games into his Collingwood career. I'll keep an eye on him, says Michael.
I've never claimed to be very good at anything I've done. I'm comfortable with that.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Bo McCreary, because we were very hot on him at the start of the season. Then we were very quick to slam him and say he's not doing enough. He was outstanding yesterday, and normally I save my stats to the Julian Rowe medal, but I'm going to read McCreary's stats earlier because it's worth talking about.
Yeah, well, I went to his stats. Excitingly, this is how boring my life is. I was excited to see how many stats McCreary had, thinking he might have pushed up towards 20, which would be huge for him, but not as many as I thought. But
See, for you, it's all about touches, Mick. I'd dig a little bit deeper into the stats.
No. I mean, just at a superficial level, how many stats he got. And you're the fantasy man, so...
Well, he only had the 12 disposals, but this is what I've sort of been saying. So where you've been wanting him to push up to 15 to 20 a game, I would love for him to do that, don't get me wrong, but I always thought he's the type of player, he could have 10 to 15, 15 being on the higher side, whereas you think 15 would be on the lower side that you want. I thought he could easily get 10 to 15 and still be extremely impactful. He just wasn't doing enough with his 7 touches he was getting a game. And this yesterday's game really shows how impactful he can be with 12 disposals. So he had the 12 disposals, 6 tackles, a team high 24 pressure acts, an equal team high 6 inside 50s. He had 409 metres gained, which is a lot considering he only had the ball 12 times. He had an equal game high 8 score involvements. Something about that. 12 of his disposals, 8 of them resulted in a score. And then he kicked a goal of his own. Like, that is a bloody good game for 12 disposals. Bloody good game.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been calling for. And he had a little bit more midfield time. Another thing we've been calling for.
Yeah, it wasn't good how they rotated the mids. Had Jamie Elliott in there for at least one centre bounce attendance, and yeah, they were really mixing it up. I like that.
He had the first centre clearance of the game, Mr. McCreary. He just socketed it out of there. So that was exciting. It's good to see us. We don't necessarily need to try anything different. Like, we're playing so well. We're 8-2, but I like that they're just trialing these things and in patches, because for the majority of the game, there's still Nick Dacos, Pendlebury, Ned Long, those kinds of guys. Sidebottom went a bit more to a wing in the first half and then pushed into the midfield a little bit more after that. Can I just say, am I the only one?
Yes. Next point.
Am I the only one that didn't actually think that Pendlebury was keeping an eye on Dawson? So Dawson had that amazing first quarter. He had an amazing game, full stop, but that first quarter in particular. And then Jordan Lewis says, I think Pendlebury should go to him the way that he's gone to Paddy Cripps in the past.
Yes, he did say that. Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the next quarter, Pendlebury stood next to Dawson once, and Gary Lyon says, Geordie, you were right. This is what I was talking to you about the other day, about how commentators think that that they see someone stand next to someone once and they automatically think they're tagging. Gary's, Geordie, you were right. Look, Pendlebury's on him. All of a sudden, Dawson has a quieter second quarter. It's what a masterstroke. Pendlebury going to Dawson. I think I saw them stand next to each other twice. And they just wouldn't stop talking about it.
Did he play him in the same way as he played Cripps? Was he kind of tied at contests and then spread afterwards?
No, he wasn't, because I was keeping. That's what I was thinking. And I was looking, and one of the contests, it was Ned Long. Then the next one was Jack Crisp, and I was watching Pendlebury, and he's standing somewhere else, and another Adelaide player's taking Pendlebury, and then the commentators are still going on about how Pendlebury's keeping an eye on Dawson. That matchup never happened. It never happened, and I wanted to be 100% sure, because I didn't want to come into this podcast, say it never happened, and it actually did. I'm telling you, like, it was not a head-to-head in the slightest. It was a strange comment. It's like Jordan Lewis came up with this idea, and they wanted to make him look good for the sake of Fox Footy, so they're going to pretend that it's happened.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's another thing I don't know about. I also don't know about the percentage of time that Pendlebury played on Dawson in the second quarter.
Do you know anything? Can I ask you a question? Did you watch the game yesterday?
I did.
You did watch it?
I kept my eye.
All right, well, tell me, what's the main thing you took out of the game then? Go on, because we'll go off script of my notes, and I want you to lead here. Lead, Mick. Go on.
Well, just
so I know that you actually watched the game.
Just a summary. I've already pointed to it. They've gone in the crux of it. the crux of this very game is Adelaide lost it at the selection table to a large degree. It was forecast to be heavy underfoot. They've gone in with 3 talls. That was a mistake.
You've already said that.
Yeah, no. Well, you asked me to.
What else does it say on your cereal box? Come on.
What else does it say? No added salt. Lemon bliss balls you can make from.
Actually, look all right.
So you blitz up the pitted dates into a food processor until smooth. Okay, that go easy with this food processor. Add the rest of the ingredients and blitz until welcome below. What's this blitz business? Is that modern young people talk? Anyway. What do we got? No, I've got something about. I'll talk about Ted Bundy. Touch the macabre.
I see your votes. It looks like you've crossed Perryman out and replaced him with Long Paul Perry. He's gone from 6 votes to 0. That's a big drop. That's a big drop.
I'll tell you why, listeners.
He's minus 6 votes.
Just keep your eyes off the cereal box. Okay. Yeah, look, Perryman. Like I said, I just
doesn't know a lot about him.
I didn't see the guy, but I see everybody raving about him. Oh, I might give him a few votes. And I thought, hold on, I'm not going to do that. So I crossed him out and I replaced him with Long.
How can you go from a few? Why is it 6 or nothing? You can also give him 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We've had this discussion before. I really don't understand this whole voting system.
You're not meant to say this.
It's got me confused.
The credibility of the Julian Rowe medal will go out the window.
Hey, I've got being Aboriginal round.
Indigenous round, not Aboriginal round. But go on.
What's the difference?
Move on.
No, what's the difference? Aboriginal just means you're native to or something. You can have Aboriginal plants and fauna, and Indian people in America, they're Aboriginal to American. So, yeah. Best Aboriginal players I've seen forming the side. Do you want me to go through it now?
This is Hot Topics.
In 46 years of watching?
We're in Hot Topics. What is this? You haven't told me anything about this. You're just running your own show. So hold on. You've written down something that has nothing to do with the game. It makes me wonder did you watch the game or not?
I was putting this together while the game was on. All right.
No one cares about your little make-believe team.
Do you want to put it on Instagram later on?
Oh, okay. We might read. I'll tell you what. We'll read it right at the end of the podcast, so then people can choose to turn it off if they don't want to hear it.
I think a lot of people have already made that choice.
Is it just me? Is this podcast falling apart now? We're back together. I feel like it was more structured when we were in different states.
Well, you made the mistake of asking me about the game, so you just keep on bringing up your points, and I'll just respond to what you say.
All right. So we talked about Jeremy Howe and Big Billy Frampton, Josh Dacos, We've talked about it a lot this year, but sorry, Michael's reading the recipe again.
Put balls in the fridge for 30 minutes to firm up. Don't forget that important last point.
I'll put this recipe on the Instagram page too.
For your lemon bliss balls. Go ahead.
Josh Dacos, halfback player. Is he right now the Australian halfback playing? I know I've talked about Australian a lot, with Cameron and Elliott last week. But should
we talk about the elephant in the room, John Noble, with 1,001 meters gained?
Yeah, I'm happy to
38%. I know more about that game than I do about this game. Yeah. Did
we fuck up?
Yeah. At the time when we were trading him, and I said to you, why do we always seem to get shafted in the train? Why are our players never seem to be worth as much as other players? Like John Noble was always a good player, and I remember saying to you, shouldn't we get more for John Noble? He's a good player.
Well, hold on.
And you talked him down.
No, I didn't. No, he was a part of the Dan Houston trade.
So we
got Houston, a 2-time Australian.
And we also gave away Noble, and we also gave away our future first. Plus,
a future first that we're not going to use because it's Tom McGuan.
And also the school teacher from
Joe Richards.
Yeah.
You're the only person in the world that thinks that we lost that trade. Everyone else talks about how much Port Adelaide got ripped off.
No, I'm not saying we lost it, but should we have done better? And now we
did very well.
Well, the proof of the pudding's in the eating of the lemon balls.
It was this time last year where I was saying that Lockie Shorts, no good, blah blah blah. Wish we had Jack Ginnivan. We got ripped off. I feel like that you right now saying that you would. I'm assuming, reading between the lines, you would have rather kept Noble than get Houston. I feel like that's a similar sort of comment to what I made last year with Stewart's and Ginnivan.
Yeah, look, I think Noble needed a change. He seems to become a little bit angry and bitter and, a bit down in the mouth.
I'm not sure about
Like he came out earlier this year to talk about his disappointment of being dropped for the grand final.
Fair enough. They asked him the question. I listened to
Yeah,
it.
no.
too.
At the time, they said, "Oh, he's finally come out and uploaded." I thought, no, he did that halfway through last year as well. He'd previously been to the media and spoken about it, so it was just this heavy weight on him. So I think he needed a change. I just think he should have held more draft capital than he did. I thought he was a good player.
But we didn't trade him for picks. We didn't get picks for him. He was a part of the Dan Houston trade.
Yeah, I know.
We got a two-time All-Australian in the prime of his career. And yeah, he's not playing like it at the moment, but like Schultz, I think he just needs a little bit of time to settle and get used to the system. I've got no concern. We'll talk about Houston. I've got absolutely no concerns. I know there's a lot of people now that are starting to panic, and I think he was a little bit better yesterday. Just in glimpses, he doesn't miss when he's 50 metres out, does he? Like, he kicked the first goal of the game yesterday, and I knew he was going to kick it. The moment he marked that, I knew he was going to kick it. He's a gun player. He's a gun player, and he's going to be a gun player for 5-6 years, however long his contract is. Have you got concerns? Because I really don't.
No. With Houston himself, no, he'll come good. He's just learning the new system, and I think he'd be really good for us in the back end. All I'm saying is we should have done better overall in that deal. Maybe
Get two-time Australians instead of one.
No. So what was it? So we get Houston. They got Noble. They got a first rounder, and they got Richards. I don't know if we had to give away that much.
Yeah, but two guys that were in and out of the team. Noble wasn't a regular. He
and
didn't.
plus a first rounder.
But
Anyway,
the first rounder that we're not going to use because of Tom McGuan.
But your question was, you've moved away from the question. Josh Dacos.
Josh Dacos.
Josh Dacos. Yeah, well, he'd be up there. Like I said, Noble's been good. Rioli up to the Gold Coast.
No, he's been really poor this year. Daniel Rioli. He's been really poor. Noble's been the one up on the Gold Coast this year, not Rioli.
No, Rioli's been very good with the Gold Coast.
He's been poor. He's been very poor. There's a lot of talk about how poor he's been so far, and Rioli's been the pick of the two.
I've heard the opposite.
Well, it's wrong.
Okay, keep on talking. I'm going to look this up. What do you mean?
My Michael's picking all Australians based on guys that are badly out of form. What are you going to look up? Is Daniel Rioli good?
I'm just going to type in Daniel Rioli.
Daniel Rioli good.
I thought he's been having a good year.
I think that the main guys competing for that spot, you got Joshy Dacos. You've got Connor Rosie's gone to halfback this year, been really good. Wanganang Miller from St Kilda, a bit of Lockie Whitfield and Lockie Ash from the Giants. Noble himself. And this is the other thing about Noble. He's now in career best form. Like he'd been on our list for many years and been a very solid contributor. But we didn't know that he had this kind of football in him, I don't think. He's been an elite halfback this year. So you can't read the future. You can't read that he was going to be an elite halfback.
No, I knew he would. I knew he had it in him.
To be one of the best halfbacks in the competition.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael. Well, why didn't you say that before we got into the event?
No, you've
Mr. Hindsight.
Well, you captain of your debating team at school with the Michael. You've really nailed it there.
Anyway, my point is that Josh. Anyway,
convince me I'm wrong with that.
We don't really need him. We've got Houston. We've got Josh Dacos. We've got Quainer, and hopefully Quainer continues to come on.
But in answer to your question, yeah, well, Josh Dacos would be up there. What round are we at?
10.
A bit early to be talking All Australian, I reckon. I know you declared Billy Frampton a certain starter in about round 5 last year.
Well, is he a starter this year? He's playing better this year than when he was last year.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. He's not going to be all Australian. But he could be the captain of the underrated team of the competition. If you're picking the 22 most underrated players, Billy Frampton could captain that.
Yeah, no, he's been solid. He's aided again by the weather yesterday. So wasn't a tall man's game, but he's been good.
But I guess they really was a game for the defenders. You got Howe, Frampton, Josh Dacos. They were probably 3 of our best. The midfield, like against Freo, they weren't at their best. We didn't get smashed in clearances the way that we did against Freo. I actually haven't looked at the clearance numbers, but just the eye test, we didn't get smashed the way that we did. But Pendle was okay without being grades. Sidebottom was okay without being grades. Nick was probably the best of the bunch, but he was nowhere near his best. Ned Long. Ned Long was probably the best. I'll take that back. He was number 1 for me in that midfield group. Once again, just absolutely, he constantly leads us in tackles, pressure acts, all that, but he's just an absolute bull at the contest. Like he,
Yeah, what do you have? He had nine. I think he had 9 tackles. I saw that somewhere.
he makes plays around him better. That's his strength.
Yeah,
Like he makes them better.
Yeah, as you said, his ability to stand up in a tackle and get a handball out has been, that's been a huge something we really needed from last year. We didn't have that. We didn't have that ball in the midfield with Degoe out for long periods.
And Mitchell.
And Mitchell.
Not that he's a bull, but he's that inside guy that gets it out.
Yeah. So we're really lacking that last year, I should say.
Well,
that's been added.
Good segue. We'll move on to Tom Mitchell. He's a bit further down my notes, but he played his second game in the VFL yesterday. I saw on his TikTok he was talking after his first game last weekend where he played a half and then got subbed out and got tagged in that first half. Imagine coming back after over a year of being out, comes back to the VFL, only get a half, and in that half you get tagged. He said he wasn't expecting it. It was a bit of a shock, but that's all right. But in that TikTok, he said he was only going to play 3 quarters the next week and sort of ease back in. But apparently he played the full 4 quarters. That's what I read. So the plan must have changed somewhere. Didn't watch the game.
Did you say it was his second game back?
Second game back yesterday.
Yeah, because the first game he had the half, didn't he? Yeah,
that's what I
played half. Yeah.
Literally just said.
Oh, sorry.
Are you tired? What's going on?
No, I've got a bit of sun glaring in my eyes off your freaking drink bottle over there. Can you move that a little bit?
No, it's fine. Sorry, I didn't realize the sun was affecting your hearing so much.
No, but it was distracting me, and I wasn't really. I don't listen to you at the best of times, let alone when I got sun glaring in my eyes.
So he says that he'll continue to ramp up his time on ground in the VFL over the next couple of weeks, but he's now an option. And Harry DiMartina.
Oh yeah,
is that how you pronounce it?
Nobody knows.
Apparently, he's now become an inside mid. He's playing inside.
Really?
And his last few weeks have been really good. So it was an first emergency yesterday, and in the VFL he led us for disposals with 24 as an inside mid. Yeah, I haven't. I don't think I've ever seen him play. I don't think I've ever watched. I don't watch a lot of VFL being here in Tassie. We don't get it as much as the Victorians.
We don't get a lot of stuff in Tassie.
We don't. But I've always been disappointed with the lack of talk about him. It doesn't fill you with much hope. And then in recent weeks, the last before his move inside, I've heard him being used. I've heard the term bust, spud, all these things thrown around about him by people that have watched him in a VFL, and I'm thinking, oh no. But apparently now I'm hearing really, really good things about him as an inside mid. Only thing is, we've got 100 inside mids.
Yeah.
The positive is they're all over 40, pretty much, other than Nick and Ned Long.
Oh, you're forgetting about Finn McRae.
Poor Finn. He's done, though, isn't he? He's busted his shoulder. He's not going to really have much of a chance to come back. And
he's contracted to the end of the next year.
No, I think this is his last year.
No, I thought so too, but apparently not. He's contracted to the end of the next year.
I swear he's been in contract for the last decade, this guy.
So we either don't know things here or we're not sure.
But yeah, that's a positive. So we got Titch and we've got DiMartina. And I just got a notification coming through. This is a great segue because I forgot to put this on my notes. So I heard one of the it was fucking McClure, Sam McClure, talk about a player that I haven't heard mentioned as a trade, a guy that could be on the trade table. And I've only just been reminded because he's just been named sub
Why
in a
did you
game.
curse when you said Sam McClure?
I hate Sam McClure. I think he's the biggest wanker in AFL media. Is he not?
I don't know the guy.
It's a perfect word to describe Sam McClure. Wanker.
Yeah, but we've spoken about personal attacks.
Sub for Melbourne today, Bailey Fritsch. Now, apparently he's gettable, and now he's named a sub. Would you...
Question without notice, Bailey Fritsch. Yeah. He's a very good player in a good side. In a very good side.
Well, we're a good side.
Yeah. I'm just talking out loud because it was a question without notice. So if you've got good delivery into the forward line, he's a good player. He finishes well. Yeah, it's not the highest of priorities at the moment. I know. How old is he? Remember, he's getting older, obviously. Guys like that. We've got an older forward line. Jamie Elliott.
Yeah.
Checkers. Yeah.
But he's not young either. Yeah. I'll look up his age, but
he must he wouldn't be older than 27, would he?
I reckon he was a mature age pick when he was.
Really?
Yeah, he's 29 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Gee, that's
He's not until December, but.
Oh yeah, probably. Well, it depends on what you think. Like a lot of things.
They reckon a pick in the late 20s.
It depends on what you have to give for him.
A pick in the late 20s, they were saying.
Yeah.
But they're naming him as the sub. A guy
Well,
in a shit team as sub. They can't be asking for a pick in the late 20s.
okay. Well, it depends on where we're going next year. It depends on what happens this year. If we were to have a disappointing end to the year and we reckon we're outside the premiership window and we're going in a different direction, alternatively, if we were to win the flag this year and wanted and thought we're still a double check, depends where we think we're going at the end of the year.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was something that I was going to mention earlier in the week, then forgot, and then that notification popping up about the sub just sort of reminded me. But so yeah, back to the VFL. So yeah, Mitchell, Dimatina, tick. At least we're getting a lot of depth in that area to ground in the midfield. It's going to be helpful if we want to continue to rest guys like Pendlebury and Sidebottom as the year goes on. De Goey, obviously. Well, let's talk De Goey. We were briefly mentioning because I feel like we just talk about his injury every week. What the fuck is going on? Like,
Well, I don't think anybody outside the club really knows. I heard somebody in the media the other day saying they were talking to Doc Larkins, and according to Larkins, he reckons if it's as reported as the Achilles problem, you're probably looking at 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
But then you listen to McRae or somebody down the club, and it sounds more hopeful. They're not giving much away, but it sounds like it could be back within the month. I don't know. Like I said at the start of the year, just get him cherry ripe for the. What are you doing for the end of the year? I don't think there's any more recipes on here to talk about, Dermot. Get De Goey right for the end of the year, in the hope that we're well positioned for the flag and get him fit and firing for the finals. So I think that's the main thing. I'm pandering while Dermot gets his thing.
I was just checking that it was recording properly.
Right. So yeah, that's all I want from De Goey now. Just getting right at the end of the year.
Yeah, well, Mr. September. It's a shame. I don't think we're ever going to see that full, consistent, great season out of De Goey that we've seen from guys that are similar to him, such as your Petrarcas of the world and even Heaney. Like, he's a better player than Heaney, but Heaney's had more consistent seasons than De Goey, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but give me De Goey because De Goey plays well in grand finals.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was my next point. That he's Mr. September. He does it when it matters. It would just be nice if we could get that one great season. Like, I know all Australians and best and fairest and all that, they don't mean a hell of a lot, but it would be nice if he ended his career as an All-Australian or a best and fairest winner, or at least top 3 in the best and fairest. Because I think he's finished top 10 only once in his career. I think 2018, and that's it.
Yeah, look, again, it doesn't bother me too much as long as he plays well in finals.
Well, he doesn't give a shit. He said that himself. None of that matters to him.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk. So we'll talk about this guy again. I don't want to sound like I'm bagging him. Mason Cox, 4 disposals yesterday.
Yes, I saw his stats. He only had 5 hit outs.
He actually took a couple of nice marks, and there was one little tap. So. I actually,
not the day for the
not the day for it, but then when you've got in that same day in the VFL, Charlie West kick 3 goals 2 in a game where we only scored 8 goals and 1. It wasn't a good day, and he kicked 3 of those 8.
I know.
He's banging down the door. Enough's enough. When you've got a guy that's in hot form like Charlie West, and you've got a guy like Mason Cox that is not contributing week in, week out, the move is just going to be made, because at some point Dan McStay will be back, and we'll be saying, we really wasted a good opportunity to get some games in the Charlie West.
Yeah, we've had this discussion every week, and it's the old.
Are you going to come around and join me on the Charlie West bandwagon?
Oh, look, but it just means changing the structure of the team.
It's the same structure as when Dan McStay was there.
But it's not apples for apples. I'm not convinced this Charlie West can be our second ruckman.
Mason Cox had 5 hit-outs. You just said it yourself.
He's a child.
No, you're right. Let's just keep a guy like Mason Cox in, because those 5 hit-outs, they can't be replaced.
Why did you strike me?
Those 5 hit-outs cannot be replaced.
Yeah, but it's not, like I've said to you, it's not only what he does in the ruck, it's what the opposition ruckmen aren't able to do. They can't dominate against him.
It's Charlie West season, and you know it.
Okay.
It's get him in. There is no reason against North Melbourne next week. There is no reason why he should not be debuting. Enough is enough. Like, this guy has dominated every single week this season. And we'll go to the mini selection table. It's not a big one this week, so we talk about how West for Cox is an obvious change that we're both on board with. So Darcy Moore and Lockie Schultz. Hopefully they're both okay to return. I think Moore's 50-50. Schultz I haven't heard anything about. He should be right to go, but you never know with concussion. Hopefully it doesn't linger and longer than the 12 days. But if they're both fit and firing, there's the three guys. Two of these three would make way, and it's the same sort of guys that we talk about every week. Sullivan, who was really good against Freo, not as good yesterday. Ed Allen, who we love, but
He's building.
he's okay.
Ed Allen's building.
He had some okay moments yesterday.
He almost took a goal-saving mark yesterday late in the back line. Do you remember that one? He juggled it, and he almost... And I thought, you beauty's about to kind of... But he dropped it.
He nearly kicked that nice goal, and it just fell short.
That looked like a goal off the boot.
He's a good long kick. So those two, and then Will Hoskin-Elliott, who kicked the 2 goals, so I don't reckon he's going to go anywhere. So it's most likely going to be Sullivan and Allen that make way for Moore and Schultz.
Yeah,
Well, Lipinski was the sub, but I think that's more of a let's rotate the sub kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think he's
so.
locked in the team.
I'd still like them to persist with Allen as a project player in there. Just carry him a little bit. Not that he's not playing bad. I don't think you really need to carry him. He's not far off holding his spot on just his form. So I'd like to see them persist with him, and again maybe drop a Hoskin-Elliott.
They're not going to though.
No, they won't drop.
I agree with you. I'd rather Allen over Hoskin-Elliott, but that's not going to happen. Just looking through my notes. Have I mentioned everything that I want? Nick Dacos, Penalty side bottom, the guy. Yeah. Like I said, there's not really a lot to take out of yesterday. A lot of what we've mentioned today is just stuff that we've mentioned in the previous week, and we'll just continue to go over it. But yeah, not really. We'll get to the Julian Rowe medal in a sec, but not really a lot of talking points. Not really a lot of players that you think, God, they starred today. It was just a really good heart-forward win against a decent team in difficult conditions, and we're 8-2, and we're in just a great position to, secure a top 4, top 2 spot and try and win that 7A flag.
Look, I just noticed on social media again that the Adelaide "we was robbed" cry that you've been hearing a lot in the last 2 years, it's getting a bit tiresome now. They're complaining about the umpiring again. It's been a lot of that the last 2 years. I think but it's just swings and roundabouts. Like, I think we were ripped off on a couple of occasions. You had a high contact to my check in the goal square.
Oh.
You had Cameron's mark very late in the back line, not paid. They got a couple of rough ones. The Rankin run down from McCreary, I don't think that was a free kick.
How's that not a free kick? That was as clear holding the ball as I've ever seen.
Go back and have a look. He didn't have possession of the ball. He'd actually dropped the ball before he was tackled, so he didn't have possession when he was tackled. It was holding the man.
If that's not holding the ball, then holding the ball just isn't a thing.
Well, you have to have the ball to be judged holding the ball.
Rankin was gifted everything yesterday. The umpires love him. He was gifted everything, and he couldn't make the most of it.
That's wrong.
3 out of bounce on the 4.
Yeah, if you'd indulge me, that's what I was going to say. That they were hard done by in a couple of areas like that throw paid against them was actually handball.
Yeah,
but they didn't take when they had their chance in the third quarter. They missed about 3 or 4 gettable goals. So it's just getting a bit old with the Crows crying about umpiring every time. There you go.
All right, let's get into the Julian Rowe medal.
Been pretty good, Julian Rowe. He's been better than pretty good. He's been a forward that has presented for them today.
All right, so I have given 46 votes. That's probably the least amount of votes I've given in a win for a while. You seem surprised by that.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty low. It was a good win.
It was a good win.
Good win against good opposition.
Good win against good opposition. I really felt like it was more a team performance more than individuals. So that was just my takeaway. So I gave 4 votes to Nick Dacos. It was nowhere near his best, but he had the 28 disposals, a game-high 7 clearances, and 6 inside 50s.
Can I just say something about that? Do we judge Nick Dacos against his own standard? Like, if this wasn't a Nick Dacos, just say if this was a Beau McCreary and he had those stats.
It'd probably be close to a 9-vote game.
Exactly. So
that's so originally... that's a great point, because I didn't have him in my votes because I thought Nick Dacos nowhere near the same impact that he normally does.
I've redeemed myself from not knowing stuff to a great point.
Yes.
I've come roaring back.
But yeah, when I looked at his stats, I thought, well, he's second for disposals in the game. He led the game for clearances. He had 6 inside 50s, which was up there. I'm like, that's still a solid game. It's just, it wasn't a Nick Dacos type game. Like, his meters game weren't there and so on. So yeah, I probably could have even given him more, but I've given him the 4. I've then given 2 players 6 votes, one of them being Billy Frampton. He had the 14 disposals, 6 intercept possessions, and a game-high 10 spoils, and kept Riley Field for goalless. So that is worth the 6 votes for me. And Ned Long being the other one with 6 votes for his 19 disposals, 10 contested possessions, a game-high 9 tackles, 22 pressure acts, 5 clearances, 6 score involvements, and 2 goal assists. So a really good game from Ned again. 2 players have got the 7 votes, as I see Michael peeking over. Bo McCreary, for the stats that I read out before, 12 disposals, 6 tackles, a team high 24 pressure acts, an equal team high 6 inside 50s, 409 metres gained, an equal team high 8 scoring involvements, and a goal. And the other player was the captain of the day, Big Bruzzy, Braden Maynard, Captain Maynard. They had the 24 disposals, an equal team high 6 inside 50s, a game high 582 metres gained. He had 6 intercept possessions and 5 score involvements. And I've given the 2 players 8 votes, one of them being Josh Dacos. He had a game high 29 disposals. He had 10 contested possessions, 534 metres gained, 11 intercept possessions, and 5 score involvements. And Jeremy Howe, with the 17 disposals, 5 marks, and a game high 13 intercept possessions. So to recap, I gave Howe 8, Josh Dacos 8, Maynard 7, McCreary 7, Long 6, Frampton 6, and Nick Dacos 4.
Right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for a total of 59. And I've got a lot of the same people. You didn't put Crisp or Pendlebury in.
Well, can I just tell you something? So Crisp, his first quarter was outrageous.
Yeah.
He ended up with 16 disposals. I mean, how did he end up with 16 disposals? Oh, look, he had 2 touches in the third quarter and 2 in the last. He had 4 touches in the second half. Michael, you can't be giving him 7 votes
Stop looking at the cereal box.
when he had 4 touches in the second half.
Ooh, breakfast smoothie also.
Are you seriously giving Jack Chris 7 votes for a 4 disposals second half?
A question with notice. I'll get you the answer at the end of the game. As you know, nothing original here on Into the Woods. I heard this on BT's podcast. Okay, he has this historical sporting events. If you could go back in time to any sporting event before you were born or something you've missed, have a think about that and tell me what it would be.
I already know, I think.
Okay.
Oh, it's one of 2.
Well, pick one. I'll come back to you. One. You got one sporting event. Okay. You got Jeremy Howe with 8. You got Josh Dacos with 7. You got Pendlebury with 7. You got Chris with 7. Maybe a bit too many. I'm not convinced I did watch this game.
4 disposals in the second half.
Frampton 6, Maynard 6, Nick Dacos 6, McCreary 6, and Long 6.
So Chris plays as an inside mid and gets what, close to 10 disposals less than Maynard, who plays as a defender, and he gets more votes.
It is a bit of a mystery, isn't it? But they're my votes. Howe 8, Josh Dacos 7, Pendlebury 7, Crisp 7. I thought Pendlebury was very clean when others were.
He was good, Pendles.
Frampton 6.
I didn't give him
Maynard 6, Nick Dacos 6, McCreary 6, and Long 6.
If we want any credibility for the Julian Rowe medal, I think you need to get rid of Chris, or at least lower that 7 votes. Well, you literally gifted him 7 votes for nothing.
I'll lower the 7 votes if you up Nick's votes, because you're judging Nick Dacos against himself.
I gave him votes.
Yeah, but you didn't give him enough votes. So you're saying I gave Chris too many. I think
you gave Chris 7 too many, whereas I might have given Nick maybe 1 or 2 less than what he deserved. All right. Do you have I Got Vomit?
Oh, yes, I do.
All right.
Yes.
Here's Michael with I Got Vomit.
When people get winded on the ground, do they go, "Ugh"? Does that still happen a lot?
Do you want me to test it out?
No, because I remember when I used to get winded, you lie on the ground and all you hear is "Ugh."
Fat shaming. Now, long-time viewers and listeners of the show know that I do not endorse it. As hilarious as it is, I do not endorse fat shaming. But it ain't racist. Let's be honest. It ain't racist. Was it racist when Renee Kink and Swanee were copping it those years ago? No, it wasn't. It's just simply not. What's next? They're going to take away your mother wears army boots, big nose. They can't take away big nose from us. I won't let them.
That's what I call my mate Adrian. Has the largest nose on a man I've ever seen.
Do they still say your mother wears army boots? Is it
I had
amongst
no
young
idea what that
people?
is. Huh.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to explain what it means, or is it not appropriate for?
No, it's just that it just means that you think that their mother is overly masculine. Say.
Okay.
I had a reminder why I don't watch footy classifieds. Eddie Maguire.
Or Sam McClure?
No, Eddie Maguire. He's always been. It's Eddie. Eddie basically invented the game, and if you don't agree with that, you should take a deep breath and compose yourself until you come to your senses. He's just.
I like Eddie. I've always liked. I met him at Collingwood training before the 2011 grand final, and he shook my hand and he asked me who my favourite player is, and he was really nice. And you know, there was a lot of people there being grand final week, and he still had time to talk to me. I think he's a nice man, Eddie. A little bit over the top of footy classifieds. He does talk over the top of everyone, a bit like what I'm doing with you now.
Yeah.
And,
well, that's basically. But I did see Bailey talking about the incident the other week. I did see Bailey Dale on the Footy Show this morning. Did you see him?
No.
And they were asking him about the game in Northern Territory, and he described it as it was quite tough. And I thought, well, it probably would be when people were trying to kill you.
49 disposals last night. I didn't watch any of that game. 49 disposals. Bailey Dale.
Yeah, no, I did see that. Apparently, Rioli had him in his fantasy side and got him made a few threats, and that kind of inspired him to do well. But there you go. That's it for I Got Vomit.
All right. It is now time for Who Am I? All right. Who am I? This is a good one today. I'm proud of this one.
This one's hurting my head.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it was hurting my head for some reason.
What was the hat?
Well, yeah, the little bump on the top of the hat was pressing down on
Good
it.
thing I bought you a new hat.
Yeah.
The New Zealand hat. You can wear that one next time. All right. Who am I? Are you ready?
When do I get to read out my original side?
Are you ready?
All right.
You're either gonna get this one really quick and take over me on the leaderboard. I lead 6 of 3, or you're not gonna get it and you're gonna be getting angry. This one could go either way, I reckon. All right, who am I? For 5 points. I was recruited to a rival club at the end of the 1987 season as a midfielder and would debut against Footscray at the Whitten Oval in round 19 of 1988 in the number 52 jumper.
From a rival club at the end of 87, I started to think about Mitchell, Tom Mitchell's dad.
Barry.
Yeah, Barry Mitchell, because he came, but he wasn't number 50. He didn't start in 52. Debuted against Footscray.
At the Whitten Oval.
At the Whitten Oval.
Round 19, 1988.
From a rival club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we'll move.
52. I'm just visualizing 52.
All right, we'll move on. For 4 points, I'll then move into the number 35 for the 1989 season and add a further 12 games to my career tally after only playing 4 the year before.
In 89, he moves into the 35.
Goes from 52 to 35. He's at a rival club, remember. He's not a club.
Oh, hold on. Your initial question. Sorry, I thought you were talking about I was
recruited to a rival club at the end.
I thought you said from a rival club.
I was recruited to a rival.
Go. This is like the other week.
Where you got it wrong. God, every week. What's his name? Luke would not be happy with this whining.
I misunderstood. I thought he was recruited. Okay, can we start again?
How can we start again? I can't now make up different questions.
No,
we're
okay,
at 4 points.
Let me recap. So he played for another club.
Yes.
And he played for that club. First game was in 1988. He's wearing the 52 against the Dogs. Yes. I'm thinking he's playing for Collingwood in 88, wearing the 52. Rightio. And then he came to Collingwood. Then he came.
I didn't say that.
and
I said, and then the next season, he moved into the 35. So 1989.
9.
And added a further 12 games to my career tally after only playing 4 the year before.
Where was he playing? Did you tell me what position?
No. Oh, he was a midfielder. Yeah.
Okay, midfielder.
I haven't told you which club he was at.
Yeah, and 80. Well, I think it would have been nice to have told me that by now. Jesus. A little bit stingy. 89, he was a midfielder wearing the 35. I can just go through every club. Makepeace for 35. We had the Freak at Hawthorn wearing 35.
Okay, this is going on too long. Let's go into 3 points. For 3 points, the following season, I would become a regular, playing 18 games, but it wouldn't be until the 1991...
Did this guy ever play for Collingwood? So we're up to 1990, isn't he? He's still not at the Pies?
Do you want to? Why are you interrupting me halfway through a question?
Well, I thought he might have got to the Pies by the third clue.
The following season, I would become a regular, playing 18 games, but it wouldn't be until 1991 where I would completely break out, getting to 600 disposals in a season for the first time. I would achieve that mark a further 4 times in my career.
Right. So
he's a good player.
So he's a good player. He's still 1991. He's still not at the Pies, so it's about 1991. He's getting 600
disposals in 91.
He's still in the 35. Is he? Oh,
do you know? Do you know?
Yeah, I think I know.
Do you know?
I think I know.
For 3 points. Remember, I'm not.
So he's wearing 35. He started in 87.
For 3 points, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't say whether you're right or not if you want to go for it. We'll continue to read it out.
Can you read out that last point again? Read out all the points again.
No, the listeners don't want to hear all the point. So
do they want to hear the points again about how to make lemon?
The following season, I would become No, this is for 3 points still.
Yeah.
The following season, I would become a regular, playing 18 games, but it wouldn't be until the 1991 season where I would completely break out, getting the 600 disposals in a season for the first time. I would achieve that mark a further 4 times in my career.
It's Robert Harvey.
For Robert Harvey, okay. For 2 points. Are you going to lock that in? Or you're locking it in, and then we'll.
Well, so 91. So
Robert Harvey. He's killed a player, but yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, no, but he coached at Collingwood.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah.
Oh, hold on, no, I'm retracting it because the criteria was he was a senior, but he was a senior coach at Collingwood for a few games after Bucks. Now, what's the criteria? Can we just bear with me for a moment, Luke?
You're talking to one person.
Bear with me for a moment, Luke. Can we just clarify the criteria? They had to have played a game for Collingwood or been the senior coach. Is that a fill-in senior coach? Are they eligible?
I'd say Robert Harvey was a coach. Yeah, he was a senior coach.
Yeah, okay. Lock in Robert Harvey.
You locking it in? All right. For 2 points. In 1992, I'd become an All-Australian and a best and fairest winner for the first time. By the end of my career, I'd be recognised as an 8-time All-Australian and a 4-time best and fairest winner.
Robert Harvey.
For 1 point.
Bang. This better be Robert Harvey. I would not be happy if it's not Robert Harvey.
For 1 point, I am a 2-time Brownlow medalist and a 1-club player. That club was not Collingwood. However, I was the senior coach of the Pies for a short period of time, coaching them to 2 wins from 9 games.
Yes.
I am Robert Harvey.
I am Robert Harvey.
3 points. So we're tied at 6 now.
I reckon I would have got it at 4 points had there not been a confusion at the first
It's a good one. You're either going to get it or you're going to not get it and then start complaining about how he's not a real senior coach.
A touch of the macabre, if you will. I got a couple of Ted Bundy stories.
Oh.
You know Ted Bundy.
Okay, no, stop. I'll give you a choice. You can either read out your Indigenous team or the bloody Ted Bundy stat. Go on. Make a choice.
From the back line.
Oh, jeez.
We got Chris Johnson, Gary Malarkey. Now, a lot of you
is that?
A lot of you won't know. He was the number 5 at Geelong before Ablett. Okay, very good fullback. Late 70s, early 80s. Gary Malarkey, Darryl White, back pocket. Byron Picken. Get off your phone.
Byron Pickett.
That's what I said. Do you distract me? Put your phone down. Show a bit of respect.
I'm checking the late outs for
Byron Pickett, half back line. He was just a bulldozer, that guy. May, centre half back. Hopefully he'd be sober during the game. Andrew McLeod, the other halfback flank. Peter Matera, close to the best Aboriginal player I've seen. Morris Rioli in the centre. Michael Long on the other wing. Buddy Franklin, half forward flank. Maybe another one as nearly the best Aboriginal player I've seen. Goods, centre half forward. Gavin Wanganeen, half forward flank. I know he made his name as a backman, but could go forward and kick goals. You had Jeff, the original Wizard, Jeff Farmer, forward pocket. Winmar at full forward. He's very good over his head, Winmar. And he was a good lead-up player as well. Good shot for goal, having him at full forward. Cyril in the forward pocket. Paddy Ryder. What a good tap ruckman he was. Sean Burgoyne, Ruck Rovin, Jimmy Cracker, Rovin. Bench, Michael McLean. Again, younger listeners may not know him. Really good halfback flanker for Footscray, and then went up to the Bears later on. Charlie Cameron, or Ray Charlie Cameron. Shea Bolton, Daniel Wells, and a lot of people underestimate this guy. Chris Lewis as the sub. There you go. And before you say Michael O'Loughlin a full forward, didn't rate Michael O'Loughlin. He tended to go missing when the pressure was on, i.e. grand finals. In that one of those two grand finals they played against West Coast, 205, 206, missed a lot of set shots. So
I wish I could point out a few mistakes, but I was not.
No, I'd be interested.
I wasn't reading this.
Oh, okay, right. No, but there are no mistakes.
There are no mistakes. Did you have Eddie Betts in there?
No, I knew, Eddie Betts is in there. Even though,
there's your one mistake.
No.
I didn't even listen, and I knew I could pick.
As a forward pocket, I wrote Eddie Betts was amongst the very good forward pockets, but he had no extra string to his bows. He couldn't go into the midfield.
Doesn't matter.
Whereas Cyril could go into the midfield, Jeff Farmer could have a run in the midfield, and they were just as good, if not better, as forward pockets, as goal kickers. So Eddie didn't have enough strings to his bows for my liking, but still rate him.
Obviously not. All right, we're gonna have our tips for next week. The North Melbourne game. I'll start. Pies by 40, and it'll be a dirty 40 as well. It'll be one of those games. I reckon we'll lead at 3/4 time by 20, and we'll be pissed off, and then we'll have an okay last quarter, and it will save 40 points at the end, but it won't be a good 40-point win.
I reckon Pies by 32.
That's even worse than my dirty 40.
Yeah, I reckon Pies by 32. They play okay at Marvel, and they'll take a bit of confidence from how they played against us last year.
They're playing right now. Let's say against Richmond. They're only 1 point up against Richmond in the third quarter, so we should beat them easy.
Hey, I touched on Michael Tuck the other week because we had been talking about Boomer Harvey and Pendlebury closing on the.
Can I interrupt? Eddie Maguire style? No, because I was thinking about this. So you've been going on about how you don't want Pendlebury. You're the only Collingwood supporter in the world.
About it. I mentioned it once.
You're the only Collingwood supporter in the world that doesn't want Pendlebury to break Boomer Harvey's record, and your reasoning behind that being that you don't think it was fair that Brad Scott sacked Boomer.
I think he had at least another season.
But I've recently heard multiple people say the same thing about Michael Tuck. That he was not delisted, but he was sacked, and he had at least another year or two left.
Yeah, I said that myself.
So then why? So Boomer then basically has the record when he doesn't deserve it because Michael Tuck could have gone on a couple of years longer as well. So why does Boomer deserve the record?
I don't think. Well, to begin with, he was. I think Tuck is 4.26. Boomer is 4.32.
It's not a big difference.
No, not a big difference, but they both look. Boomer, I can't remember back far enough with Michael Tuck. His last game as premiership captain, so that indicates maybe he had another year, but maybe I don't know. But Boomer, I know had it, and this point we'll go to it. This is a stat I heard a couple of weeks ago. I've been holding on to this one. Of all the players who have had 20 disposals in a game, 3 goals and 9 score involvements after the age of 35. Okay, you've had so that's 20 disposals, 3 goals, 9 score involvements after the age of 35. Dangerfield's done it once. Gary Ablett Jr.'s done it once, and coincidentally, Robert Harvey's done it once. Boomer Harvey, how many times has Boomer Harvey done it?
3.
7.
7, okay.
7 times he's done that over the age of 35.
If you didn't have Robert Harvey written down in your notes, I wonder if he would have crossed your mind for the Who Am I?
Oh, no, well, I didn't even know. I'd forgotten about this.
You forgot, yeah.
So,
You wrote Robert Harvey's name on your cereal.
Tom McGuan watch.
Can you hurry up? I want to wrap this podcast up. We normally end with a Who and I, and you haven't stopped talking.
Tom McGuan watch.
I want to go home.
36 possessions in there. I think it's the first win for the year.
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let me go home.
36 possessions, 2 goals, 1, 7 inside 50s. And I've got Ollie Henry written down here. Would Ollie Henry get in our side at the moment?
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, I think he'd struggle too.
Yeah, no.
I reckon he'd struggle too.
Charlie West is playing better footy than him at the moment. He can't even get a game.
Been watching a bit of Unfiltered with with Hamish.
This is the Michael show. You keep on talking.
No, I've had these points written there for a while, and I've been getting a few points from Hamish, and I reckon next time we get somebody on, interview them, we make them cry. We make them cry, and we have sad piano accompaniment in the background. I'll be taking notes.
Hamish McLaughlin is as cringe as you'll ever get, isn't he? He's so cringe. He comes across as a very nice guy, but he's very cringe.
I'm going to get some of those leather wrist bands for next week, Hamish style.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't you notice he wears?
I don't watch his
leather
show.
wristbands. I'm taking a series of notes.
Oh God.
I'm gonna be the new Hamish next week. What else? What was your historical sporting moment?
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I forgot to narrow it down to one. I would love to have either been there for the 1990 grand final. That seemed like a bit of a I've seen the scenes after the game out in the streets, and that's right up my alley. I would have fucking given that night a bit of a shake, I reckon.
Even I'd toss back a couple that night.
Oh, geez. You don't drink.
No, not at all.
That or go way, way, way back and be there for Premiership number 4 in the 4-peat.
Right.
So, what, 1935, was it?
The 4-peat?
No, that was that was
back-to-back.
That was back-to-back, yeah.
35, 36 back-to-back.
So, 1932.
No, 27 to 30 was the 4-peat. Yeah. And then we didn't win again until 35, 36. And
didn't win that, a long drought there.
Yes. Yeah.
So, 1930 Premiership, I would have, it would have been nice to see the Coventries and the Colliers and was Des Fothergill, was he around then?
No, Des Fothergill started in the late 30s. He ended up getting a retrospective Brownlow in 40. And then he went to Williamstown for a while.
He started at Williamstown, didn't he? And then went to Collingwood, then ended at Williamstown.
Oh, he might have come from Williamstown, I know. But he went to Williamstown with Ron Todd because they were actually paying more back in those days. Crazy. There was a strange law where some of the VFA sides actually paid more. Well, the VFA were allowed to pay their players more than the VFL for a period of time. And we lost Ron Todd, who was the great goal kicker, and we lost Des Fothergill as well. But I only asked you,
so you could tell me.
So I could tell you.
Is it footy related?
No, it's not. Cricket. Sid Barnes, the great English bowler.
Is this the
legendary English bowler? I would like to see how good he was, like playing against.
You'd rather see him than Bradman.
Yeah, because he's a bit of a mystery, Sid Barnes. I've read a lot about him, and he seems like he was kind of a fast. He's described as a fast spinner, but also could be a medium pacer. He was apparently a bit like Bill O'Reilly. So I'd like to have seen how good he was. Apparently he was phenomenal. But there you go.
I thought you were going to talk about Bodyline for a second, that you'd want to be there for that.
Oh, yeah, maybe, but we only got the one choice. So I'd go the turn of the century. I'd go for Sid Barnes. And yeah.
I think this has been the longest end to a podcast ever.
Yeah, how about the Ted Bundy thing?
No, in fact, I'm actually going to edit out your Indigenous thing because that was boring.
No, don't edit
boring. It was boring. No one gave a shit, Michael.
It's topical.
It's not. It would have been more interesting if you just listed your top 10 Indigenous players. The fact that you listed out a whole team full of guys, no one gives a shit.
Can we also ending controversy? Can we get rid of these rounds? I don't like it. I don't like symbolism. Anybody listens to me, just bounce the freaking ball. How many, it's the Indigenous round, Anzac Day round, always freaking playing the national anthem. Is there a gay and lesbian round? There is a game. Isn't there Sydney and St Kilda? Get rid of that. I'm strong on this. Just bounce the freaking ball.
You're such a dinosaur. Listen.
No, just get out of politics. Bounce the ball.
Is there a gay lesbian round?
Well, there is. There's an LBG I'm struggling now. The St Kilda and the Swans, they play a game. Yeah.
Just a shout out to the end on a sad note. We don't want to end on a sad note, so maybe try.
Don't. Okay.
Oh, what's sad? Well, Scott Selwood's assistant coach at Collingwood.
It is very sad. It is
yeah.
very sad.
So shout out to the Selwood family.
They're not listening. But
no, they're not. But it's
it is a real tragedy. It's terrible.
It's just fucking awful. And
Robert Walls, he came.
What
a straight shooter he was.
I liked what I grew up in the Channel 10 era, and that's still my favourite era ever. And you had Warsy, Malcolm Blythe, Hutto, Stephen Quartermain, Tim Lane, all those greats. And I loved Warsy and Blythe. I remember it wasn't even a Wars moment, but those two stand in. Do you remember the show The Fifth Quarter? After
I know. Yeah,
you know, Blighty's going off and Robert Walls is just standing there awkwardly, not knowing where to look in the camera. I don't give a rat's toss bag. I don't remember what he was talking about. But they were great. They were Wallsy, and really went out on his terms, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I love the story of the old days when he was at the Bears, coaching the Bears, and he Strimple. Is that the name of the player? I can't remember. He wasn't. He didn't play many games, but he was in the bad books for whatever reason. You know his story. And Wolsey put him in the ring and got every player to spar against him constantly. So he got in the ring.
You couldn't do that these days.
First player comes up, starts sparring this first player, then he goes off, and then a fresh player comes on, and they just pummeled him. It was fantastic.
Have you seen on YouTube, I think Kevin Bartlett's son posted it, his interview on the couch with Kevin Sheedy in, I think, about 2001 or 2002 or something?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. When the sniper incidents, because Sheedy had said in the week leading up or so to that broadcast, basically saying in a roundabout way that Walls back in the 70s was a sniper. He used to go around hitting players behind play and that, according to Sheedy. Well, he came on the show and Walls just called him on it.
It wasn't so much that. It was more about they were debating about their coaching record.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing.
Yeah. And Walls said that, yeah. Anyway, I recommend anyone go watch it. You should take a look at it.
I saw it when it was on.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it. I watched it the other day after the news of his passing. It was very, very interesting. All right, I'm a bit nervous to say this, but we're going to wrap it up. Any final words, Mick? No one cares about Ted Bundy.
It was chilling.
Yes. Before we go, I'm not the type of person to sit here and we might even open the show with this next week because a lot of people have probably tuned out by this point. I'm not the type of person to sit here and beg for people to subscribe and like our videos and our podcast.
It's so pathetic.
I've never done it before. I mentioned at the end of every podcast briefly, but
I actually go out and encourage people to unsubscribe.
No, please don't unsubscribe. But basically, if you're watching this and you haven't liked or subscribed to our Spotify or Apple podcast or YouTube, we would be really grateful because the numbers are rising and we're a hell of a lot better this year than what we were this time last year. But it can get better. And the best way to support us and to help us grow.
Better in what respect?
Can you shut up for a second? This has got nothing to do with you. You rock up for an hour every single week and you talk. I'm the one that does all the work behind the scenes.
I'll just read my cereal box.
If you're listening or watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. Like our video, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple. It would mean a lot. Recommend us to your Collingwood friends, your Collingwood
family.
Talking
about ratings, what is the health star rating? It's got 5.
You're pissing me off right now. So yeah, if you could do that, we'll be very grateful. And also, don't forget to follow our socials. You can find us on X at Into the Woods Pod and on Instagram at Into the Woods Pod 10. I was very active on Instagram, especially before my 6 weeks away. I've let it slip over the last 6 weeks. I've been a bit too busy, so we'll start picking up on Instagram. So yeah, really jump on that, especially at Into the Woods Pod 10. And yeah, I reckon I'll mention this first thing off the top next episode as well, just in case people have tuned out, especially during that Indigenous team review. I reckon that's what most people turned off. Anyway, thanks for listening. We look forward to doing it again next week. See ya.